The important thing about housing is that it's the only thing that keeps them safe. If they have a safe place to go, and if somebody keeps them safe in that place, then they're so far ahead of the game that it's unbelievable. I've seen so many, especially young men, die over the past 45 years in the Yukon because they don't have a safe place to go. Not fair. What other disability gets thrown in jail because they don't have supports?
I think if Max was around, the housing model that was working was the one in Ontario, because they had supervision. You know, they were checking in, checking out. He had purpose also. Still someone to supervise, like, what is he going to do on Monday? You know, and make sure it was happening. And we're giving Maxim like 1 or 2 choices only. So it has to be monitored. I would say not just drop people there and hope for the best, because it's not gonna work. Like, they still need help. They're still the same people, housing or not. But having a roof, of course, is great. But supervision will need to happen. Like, do they still have food? How are they spending their money? Are they being abused by anybody? Of course, my son wanted like a girlfriend. And I think this is also a big issue. Like, they're a typical adult. So the perfect housing situation would allow that too. You know, how do we put their life as normal as possible? So, because I'm pretty sure other people are like that, Maxim was looking for freedom, but also the girlfriend part was a big, big issue. Like, I want a girlfriend, I want to have friends over, but it has to be balanced, right? Like, how do they know, if they don't have a notion of time, how do they know it's 11 o'clock and maybe they're disturbing the neighbor? They still need reminders. So I think the perfect model would be something like that, like someone in and out checking and accordingly to the person's need. A lot of contact, if possible, also, I would say, with the parents, if they're still in the picture, or whoever took those people, if it's, you know, who was the parent at the time, who knows that person the best, and still keep the communication with them, because they know what's working and what's not working. The perfect housing will work if this whole team is working with the person who gets the place or the room or the apartment. I would say it has to be a complete kit. Don't just drop them there.
In order for Matthew to go to college, I had to sell my house and pay for the full-time caregiver and for him to live with her. After he graduated from college and was officially a BC resident, he then qualified for social assistance, which paid part of his rent. He's still sort of in the same boat. Low-cost housing is not available to him, even though he works for a low-cost housing association. And that's the biggest worry, that when I die, my niece will have to find a safe way to support him, and to hopefully be able to advocate for low-cost housing so that he'll be able to stay stable in his own house.
One housing idea I've thought about as we both age, as I'm almost 73 and Chris is almost 45, would be a place that would be acceptable for both seniors and an adult with a disability. Because they seem to be 2 different categories. But I would much prefer to live with her in a safe place, you know, her living with me, where, you know, needs are met and there's not, you know, maintenance things to do. There's not, and a safe place where if I need to go somewhere, there's a safe place for Crystal. She can be alone in her room for quite a while, an hour, 2 hours, she's fine, 3 hours, she's perfectly fine. But there's always somebody that could be, just checking to see if everything's okay or if she might need anything. That would free me up to do something I might need to do without, trying to find a sitter and all that's involved with that and all the insecurities of leaving your own place. So that's something I'm looking into to see if that is possible.
Since then, what I realized as a mother, though, is that in the Yukon, things are getting a bit better. Over the last, I would say, 8 months, I guess, there's been some openings, some new homes being building, some houses being opened for people with alcohol issue, but this is not playing against themselves. So there's a house, for example, called after my son, which I like. It's called Maxim's House, where the goal is to keep people inside the house, but we do realize that they have a problem with alcohol or other drugs, but the goal is to keep them in the house. So the condition are looked at as part of who they are, but keep them in the house. And Maxim would have loved that because he had so many conditions sometimes that was impossible for him to even remember them. And he felt like he was not independent. And I do believe that now with this kind of setting where people have their little place, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it seems to be a lot better. And where, okay, you may be drinking, but you still have a place to go. And you're not going to be put in jail because you did drink when we know it's so difficult to stop. So they have support, they have a place to go, and they probably feel a lot more independent. And my son was looking for that. Because of course we put him in care at 15, but there was no other option when he was to be 19 or 20. So I would hope this is going to work. I know it's too late for my boy, but I'm hoping for the people that it's a good model. Of course, the future will tell, but with support and, keep them in their part and don't blame them for something that was done to them. I think it could be very good. So I'm hoping that what's happening in Whitehorse right now could be seen as a model and be used across Canada, and that when we sit down again, maybe in 5 years, or we will say, wow, we did great. That's my goal. For me, for Maxim, for everybody.